Amidst the burning wreckage of a bombardment of Stepanakert, the largest city in Nagorno-Karabakh, evidence, says Amnesty International, of cluster bombs. They explode in the air, scattering hundreds of smaller bombs indiscriminately. More than 100 countries have banned them, but not Azerbaijan or Armenia. Civilians in Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan have been caught in the middle of 10 days of fighting between the two sides. Here in Armenia, displaced people from Karabakh are picking up donated food. A ceasefire still seems a distant prospect. Turkey's foreign minister was in the Azeri capital Baku on Tuesday. Mevlut Çavuşoğlu questioned what the point of a ceasefire would be when there's been one for the last 30 years and Armenia still hasn't withdrawn from Azeri territory it occupies.
It took only a second. A Special Forces policeman appearing to hurl a 16-year-old student protester over this bridge, 7.5 meters down into a river. The youth survived, but the alleged culprit has been charged with attempted homicide and other officers with trying to cover it up. But the timing couldn't have been worse.
If someone did not respect the law, he should of course be sanctioned accordingly. But the support for our police force is key, especially because we need peace in our country for October the 25th.
The Interior Minister is referring to this month's constitutional referendum. But the protests are already heating up ahead of October 18th, the day that marks the start of last year's social uprising. It's led to thousands of charges of brutality on the part of riot police.
Five and a half years for the three-judge panel to come to this verdict today. It involves 69 defendants, although 68 will actually be given their sentencing today because of, not their sentencing, but the verdict today because the one passed away during these 5.5 years. It involves 6,000 documents of testimonies, scores of incriminating videos. It involves a witness protection scheme. I mean, this is really big, and the charges range from perjury to murder. But what is at stake, and as you very rightly pointed out, is the fact that a political party's modus operandi will be likened to that one of a criminal organization, and the judges are set to rule on that.
It was these legendary guitar riffs played with blinding speed, control and innovation that propelled Van Halen to superstardom. One of the best-selling artists of all time, the band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007. Eddie Van Halen was born in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, to a family of musicians that emigrated to California in 1962. 10 years later, he founded the band that carried the family name, along with his brother Alex on drums and David Lee Roth on vocals. California party band, knocking disco music off the charts. And fueling the rock and roll lifestyle was a cocktail of cigarettes, alcohol and Class A drugs from a young age that took a toll on Eddie Van Halen's health in later life.
Yes, definitely this was the first appearance of these two men who were charged with murder of the farm manager. And after the case, the court itself didn't last for long. After the adjournment, the police took the two accused to the court cells. Unfortunately, after some time, the group of farmers stormed into the court building, whereby some of the furniture and property of the court was damaged. And on the other side, we decided to deploy other members outside, but unfortunately, one of the police vehicles was overturned and it was burned and damaged badly. And the police reinforced other forces to come and join them just to bring the situation under control, and they managed to put all this group of farmers which was inside the court building to take them outside so that they can remove the accused who were in the court cells.
It's been confirmed that a former senior diplomat from North Korea is now living in South Korea after having disappeared in 2018. On Tuesday, South Korean lawmaker Ha Tae-kyung wrote on his Facebook that former North Korean ambassador to Italy, Cho Sung-gil, was found to have entered South Korea in July last year and is under the protection of authorities. This was later confirmed by multiple sources, which said that Cho and his wife did come here last year through a third country. This marks the first time in over 2 decades that a high-ranking North Korean official defected to the South after a senior ruling Workers' Party official Hwang Jang-yup came to South Korea in 1997. Now, the fact that a high-ranking official from North Korea chose asylum in South Korea is expected to have a significant impact on the already troubled inter-Korean relations.
A long-awaited trial has opened here in Berlin of a Russian man charged with the contract killing apparently ordered by the Kremlin of a 55-year-old. He's accused of the daylight shooting of a former Chechen commander in a park here in Berlin.
Welcome to the capital of spies. The German Spy Museum in Berlin recently added the so-called Tiergarten murder to its exhibits. The man in the advertisement is the alleged contract killer, Vadim Krasikov. In August of last year, the Russian citizen Vadim Krasikov traveled from Moscow via Paris and Warsaw to Berlin under false identity. Krasikov is alleged to have approached his victim on a bicycle in a small park in Berlin. The victim was a Chechen exile seeking asylum in Germany. He was killed with 3 gunshots from close range.
November 2017, on his first visit to Burkina Faso, a freshly elected Emmanuel Macron vowed to look into the return of African cultural artifacts to their rightful owners. A report commissioned by Macron in 2018 found that some 90,000 African artifacts were still displayed in French museums. These include statues which were looted during the 1892 pillaging of the Abomey Palace in what is today Benin, or this 19th century saber, once wielded by Sheikh El-Hajj Umar Tal, who founded a vast empire in West Africa and fought back against colonial powers. The weapon was already loaned out to Senegal last year in a symbolic gesture that was hailed by President Macky Sall.
It is not just US President Donald Trump. A majority of people in several parts of the world do not trust China. In fact, ever since the virus that originated from Wuhan wreaked havoc across the world, China's trustworthiness has plummeted to new lows. As per a new survey by the Washington-based research center, it found negative sentiment towards China at record levels in Australia, South Korea, Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, Spain, Canada, and the US. The survey of over 14,000 adults conducted from the 10th of June to the 3rd of August is the most comprehensive indication of the fall in China's standing in the developed world, especially after the pandemic.
Mosquitoes are not just annoying. When they bite, they can transmit serious diseases. They need water to lay their eggs, and when there's a lot of water around, particularly after a large rain event, there's a lot of mosquitoes too. Sydney is now in a La Nina weather pattern. That means wetter and cooler conditions for the summer ahead and a potential mosquito baby boom. The last time we were in La Nina a decade ago, we saw an increase in mosquito-borne diseases like Ross River and Balmer forest virus and the rarer but potentially deadly Murray Valley encephalitis. While we can't control the weather, we can reduce our risk of being bitten by doing simple things like using repellent, covering up when we're outdoors and tipping out stagnant water around the home where mozzies can hatch.